I've now used the Boss Tube Amp Expander Core, their brand new one, for the past, I think, 4 videos on my YouTube channel and the past 4 or 5 videos on my Instagram. Today, let's look at this magnificent piece of machinery that Boss just came out with, and I'd like to show you how I use it. What is up, YouTube? My name is Buddy Blues, and it's Boss Day, and it's Boss Waza Craft Tube Amp Expander Core Day. Tube Amp Expander Core, now you've seen it by the time right now, I mean, we're in March. You've seen it all over because it came out in NAMM in January. I got to check it out at NAMM with the fine folks of Boss. And I got the first look, and now you have also had the first look because it's been out for a few months now. So you've also had the first look, and some of you may even have this. So this isn't going to be, let me show you how to work this, how to do blah, blah, blah. Those videos are already out. Those videos are lovely by other creator friend of mine and from Boss themselves. This isn't going to be your manual. This is going to be of how I use it. You guys have been asking me for years to demonstrate how I record my guitars, and this is how. A quick look at what we've got here. You've got a front panel and the back. Every single box on earth has a front and a back, ladies and people. The reactive load, now they keep talking, every time I watch a Boss video, they talk about, oh, this simplifies the older one. I didn't have the older one. I've had an aux box, and you know this. So the reactive load is now combo and stack. That's it, simple. Combo is gonna be that tight, focused sound. Stack is going to be big, think 412. It's gonna be big, boomy, heavy, bottom heavy, you know, big guitar sound. The next knob is rig. You've got 10 rigs that you get to program. We're gonna mess with all of that in a second. 10 rigs that you get to pre-save. I've got 2 pre-saved, and that's way more than enough for how I use it, but you have the option of using 10. Airfeel is where Boss shines. I think the first time they came out with that is when they showed us their Waza Craft headphones. You know, you could place an amp virtually somewhere, turn your head. That's just magic, really, magnificent stuff. Airfeel here is going to use that same technology to simulate a room. Meaning you're in a room with an amp, a room's gonna have natural reverb, and you get to control how much of that natural reverb you get. There's also built-in effects. Speaking of reverb, we'll get to that in a second. The bottom 3 knobs are going to be your output knobs, pretty much. So speaker out is when you're using this as a reactive load, when you're using this as an attenuator to take your 100-watt Marshall, crank the heck out of it, 100 watt. When an amp says it's 100 watts, it's never 100% 100 watts. It's usually like whenever you crank it, it hits 110, 120 easily. You can tame the heck out of that so you could play at bedroom levels. Everybody wants that, otherwise the police will come and they will arrest you. Line out is when you're recording, which is what we're gonna be doing today. You could do both simultaneously too. Brilliant. This thing is options galore. Anyway, you could do both regardless. Line out is going to be the line out that's going to go into your interface or into whatever, front of house. And then headphones, lovely, amazing. Everybody wants that. You get to practice with your 100 watt, 50 watt, whatever. We always say 100 watt as if that's a 50 watt amp is almost as loud as a 100 watt amp. It's like maybe less than 5 decibels of difference. Just 100 watts has more headroom. So don't really think of watts as volume, but let's not get into that. So again, headphones, you got a 50 watt Dumble clone, let's say. Lovely. Turn that sucker up, plug in your headphones, play in the middle of the night. No one's gonna hear you except you. And that's where that airfeel comes in play too. Because if you're playing an amp that doesn't have reverb, airfeel, sounds like you're in a room. On the back, I don't want to get too deep into this. Again, you've seen this a million times. On the back, you have plug in your amp where it's red, ladies and people. Don't do what Buddy Blues did with his old unit. Let's not get into that. Plug your amp speaker out into this. It gives you 3 options, 10 watts, 50 watts, 100 watts. Today I'm going to be using I think a 30 watt amp and a 25 watt amp. Both of them are very loud. I'm going to click the 50 watt setting. Here are your line outs. They are XLR. This is your 2 speaker something. Plug it in here. MIDI works. You can use a MIDI foot switch or you can use a wireless MIDI foot switch something. They explained it to me. I didn't understand. It's magic. Here goes your Bluetooth dongle, which is not included in the box. Is it a bit of a bummer? Yeah, but it's just 30 bucks or like 40 bucks for you to get the Bluetooth. The only thing it allows you to do really is use your phone or your iPad for the app that we're about to check out. I'm just gonna plug it in with the USB-C into the laptop. No biggie. Is it a bummer? Kind of. Effects loop, not a bummer. Your amp does not have an effects loop. You have a vintage Marshall, you have a whatever. Your amp doesn't have an effects loop. You like to run your delays, your reverbs, your whatever in the effects loop, and your amp does not have one. Now you do. This will come after the amp. That's as deep as I want to get into this. I just want to start playing, and I'm going to be playing and I'm going to be talking to you at the same time. I'm going to show you the two rigs that I have that I've been using on YouTube, that I've been using live, and that I've been using for my session work quite a bit. Then we're going to make our own rig, and I'm going to show you a few cabs, a few microphones, a few just options galore. Let's get to it. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna show you the two rigs that I've got built that I've been using exclusively, really. And then I'm gonna go into rig number 3 and I'm gonna show you some features that this thing has. Here's my rig 1. This is going to be it's capturing the sound of my amp in a room. And that's exactly what it sounds like. We're going through the Victory MK Clean 30 watt combo. I've got this on the combo setting. Behold. So that is indeed what my amp sounds like. What I've got on effects going on is a touch of reverb on the back to make it sound like, and I don't have that much reverb going in the amp, just to make it sound like you're in the room with me, or the amp is in a room, really. So this is my rig 1 if I'm going to use pedals and stuff like that, or if I want to push the amp. That's what I'm gonna do now. Remember, it's just going to take the amp and you can crank it as much as you want. There we go. Fairly clean, right? I'm going to push the master. Now, if that clipped a little bit, which it did, I'm going to turn the line out down a little bit. I'm going to turn it up a little bit more, make things really cook. We could have a conversation at this level. It's not that loud. I'm going to talk and play at the same time. We can have a conversation at this level. Okay, let's go on the app a little bit. Let me show you what I've got going on this rig. Okay, so on the app, you can see that I'm using a 112 standard cab, which is what this amp has, which is what I think a lot of my amps have, just a 112. That's my favorite combination. I do have a cab that's 212. I do have a cab that's 110 and 112. You can replicate all of that in here. But right now I'm going with the 112 because to my ears, that sounded the best. I'm going with their standard. What you can also do, ladies and gentlemen, is that you can load your own IRs. If you've gone down the rabbit hole of IRs, I haven't delved into it too deep. I know York Audio, they're the best, not sponsored, but they're my favorite. And they've got their Celestians built into this one. York Audio could have anything you want. You want an actual EV or whatever. He's captured all of that, and you can use those IRs. So you could load your own IRs and make it extremely personal. I'm just using their preset because it's lovely, and they have Celestians as well. Next, for the microphone, as you can see, I'm using the Dynamic 421. It gives it bass, it gives it oomph. I'm not a fan of the SM57. I'm gonna get killed for that. I'm not a fan of the SM57, but they've got it on there. Let me show you very quickly the difference between that and the SM57. Here's the Dynamic, here's my stock, right? Now I'm gonna switch that with a 57. So I'm gonna change the rig and then change it back because we didn't save anything. It's gonna bring it back to how I want it. Anyway, SM57, I'm not friends with it. I understand it's the best microphone ever built in the history of microphones. To my ears, I find it a little too, it lacks body. Mic number 2 that I've got running, which is a very common thing in recording, is I've got a Ribbon 121. A Ribbon mic captures, I've got it a little bit farther. You can also fix the distance, you can move it off axis, off the cone. All of that is possible within the app. I like the Ribbon because of the way it really adds character to the sound, but it adds a fullness that I like in my guitar tone. Now you're able to mix these, you're able to, like I said, adjust the distance. You want the Ribbon mic to be louder, you want 2 ribbons, you want, everything is possible on this thing. On this preset, I've got the air feel off, but let's see what it sounds like. I'm gonna add a bit of air feel, right? Now, let me play it without first, okay? Because I'm running reverb from the Boss, I don't really have a need for the air feel, but let me add it, a little bit of it, so you can see what it does. Let me add a little bit more. I'm gonna go dramatic a little bit. No one would use it at this level, but just so you can get the feel of it. Sounds like you're in a room, sounds like you're in a church, sounds like you're in a very reverby room, and it's capturing that amp, and it's far. It feels like it's 3D far. I don't know how they do it, man. It's magic. Anyway, let me show you what I've got in terms of effects on here. If we go over here to Editor, it'll show you my signal path. I've just got a touch of reverb on here. I've got the effects loop turned on. You can turn it off. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, the 3 main effects that they've got on here is compressor, delay, and reverb. Now, we've seen that with a lot of these type of boxes from other companies. Delay, reverb, and compression. However, you haven't seen that many options. Look at this. For compressor, you've got vintage rack unit and a rack 160D. So you've got 2 options of compressor with a lot of options, with a lot of options to tweak. Delay, check this out. You've got single pan stereo analog and SDE 3000, which is Boss's most famous, you get it, from hair metal times and all of that. And all of these delays are very programmable, and you can even run them in stereo, and you can even have 2 cabs in stereo. This thing never ends. Let me show you the reverbs. I've got Hall 1 going because I like the way it sounds. I like the way, it just to me, that's natural reverb, natural amp reverb. You've got options of, you got 2 types of Hall, a plate, 2 rooms, and a spring, and they all sound lovely. Let me put spring on for a second just so we can see what it sounds like. I'm gonna move to plate now. Again, lots of options. I'm gonna change my rig for a second and bring it back so we can reset all the parameters. Now, my rig number 2 is going to be exactly the same as rig 1. Again, I'm using, for my application, I'm using this for YouTube, which is what we are now. Hey. And I'm using it for recording, whether it's for my band, the Buddy Blues Band, you should check us out, or for sessions that I've been getting a lot of work on. Again, here's rig number 1. Clean, that's what my amp sounds like. Rig number 2 is exactly the same. I just copied everything, but with delay. Now the delay here comes after. It's kind of like it's in the effects loop, right? Without even using an effects loop, it's all built into this. So I'm gonna turn the line out down a bit. I'm gonna crank the amp. You know when you run delay into a very dirty amp, it gets too muddy? Listen to this. Clean repeats. It's brilliant. Okay, let's jump over to rig 3. Now, rig 3, I don't have it customized yet or anything. So let's do one together. What I'm gonna do for this one actually is I'm gonna change amps. I'm gonna go to the Victory Deputy above here. It's more of a Marshall sound. It's more of a British sound. I'm gonna need a 412 with it. So that's what we're gonna build. Give me a second, let me change up amps. Okay, we've got the Deputy running now. British rock and roll, 25 watts, plenty loud. I've got it running really dirty. I'm still in rig 1 for now. We're gonna go to rig 3 and build our own rig. I just want you to hear this amp, how it sounds. Here's my rig 1 and the Deputy. That's what it sounds like. Let me play a touch more with a bit of ambient, a little bit of delay. Let me crank the gain a bit. I could do this for days. Anyway, here's what I'm gonna do. Rig 3, I would like a 412. That pulled up a 412. Anyway, I would like a 412, and I'm going to take the SM57 out. Don't kill me. And we're gonna put a condenser mic in front of it. Buddy Blues, that's gonna be so bassy. I've got a trick up my sleeve. Boss does. Boss has a trick up their sleeve, but I'm going to utilize it. Okay, and for the second mic, I'm going to add again a ribbon. And I'm gonna put the ribbon at about 20 centimeters away. Here's what that sounds as we stand. I'm gonna turn the airfield off for now. It's gonna be a bit dry, but we're gonna add some airfield later. Okay, let's see what this sounds like. Now, you and I can agree that that sounds remarkable. That sounds amazing if you're playing by yourself. What do I mean by that? Listen to the bass. Now, I chose a condenser and a ribbon on purpose and a 412. We're going big and big and big, right? This sounds amazing if you're playing by yourself. A producer would never let you use that sound. It's too bassy, you don't fit in the mix, you're not where you belong. You're too much on the bass side, not in the mids. Here's what Boss has built into this. Brilliant. I'm recording this sound, right? I'm gonna turn that thing that's called Mix Assist on. Listen to the bass before, and now listen to the bass after. Now, that sound, if you're comparing them back to back, that sounds like we took all the bass away. We didn't. You're now exactly where you should be in the mix. You occupied the mids. You, me, us, we occupy the mids, right? As well as vocals, we're not getting into that. But guitars occupy the mids. Now, it's taken a bit of the highs and a bit of the low and much of the lows away. And you can control all of that. You've got 3 different types. And you've got transient, a control that says transient, which allows us to really control how much, which transients we're trying to eliminate. But to be honest with you, if I'm playing by myself, I would turn that off and I want to swim in the... I want to live in that realm. Okay, let's add a bit of effects here. How about reverb, not plate, I'm going to go with Hall. That's too much, ladies and people. Okay, I like that. Let's add a bit of compression to that. Let me clean up the sound a bit. I'm going to lower the ratio a little bit. I'm sure you can't understand what I'm saying because I have a pick in my mouth. I'm going to raise the level. And you've got 10 of these rigs that you could save, and you've got an IR loader, and you can do your own mix Before you even send it out to the mixing engineer, you're already there, halfway there, you belong in the mix. For my backing tracks when I'm playing on future YouTube videos, that's gonna come in so handy so that I don't, if I'm demoing a fuzz pedal, they're bassy by nature. I don't wanna occupy so much of the bass drum and the bass and the keyboard, all of that. It really is a tool for every guitarist and bassist out there. I'm severely impressed with this thing. And now for the heck of it, I'm going to crank the heck out of this and then I'm gonna let Buddy finish talking. Let's do that, let's do that, let's do that, let's do that. Good luck. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you have now heard the, well, technically not really heard, but you have now seen the prowess and the power of, and the recording power of the Tube Amp Expander Core from Boss. Man, if they didn't nail this at the price point that's not even near $800, it's under $800. At the price point that they put, I think it's $700. At the price point that they made this, it really is a no-brainer. You have no choice but to get one if you play loud amps. Now, if you don't, hey, ladies and gentlemen, if you have like a digital modeler, guess what? Now you can record your digital modeler using this. You thought you were gonna escape. You cannot escape, Roland. This thing is brilliant and you're going to be seeing it oh so much on this channel. It just does everything. And again, like I showed you earlier, my Rig 1 and Rig 2. Rig 2 is going to be for my backing track stuff when I'm demoing a pedal or a guitar or an amp or whatever. And Rig 1 is going to be the playing part where I want you to hear it exactly how it sounds. My Rig 1 and Rig 2 sound identical to the amp, how I like them, and how they sound in the room. No brainer. Options galore. If this was your first time on the channel, welcome. Hey. If it's not, welcome back. My name is Buddy Blues. This is what we do, people. I show you the coolest stuff in the industry, okay? Usually I show it to you first. This time I wasn't first. It's fine. It's fine. I'm still here. Hey, we're still kicking. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking it. If you didn't like it anyway, but write me a comment and tell me why you didn't like it. And share it with a friend that plays too loud and everybody complains around him. Have him get him one of these. Use that, the speaker out. Use it as an attenuator. Record if you want or don't. I have been Buddy Blues. You have been the people of the blues. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.